Please don't jump up here. No.
God damn it.
I wish I could see him. He's so cute.
All right.
Just let him sit with you. He wants to record too.
No, he was coming up onto the desk, and the desk space seem obscenely tiny.
He's like, I can make it. I'm small. You're like, no.
I have an open beer here, please.
Your recording equipment, please.
All right. Yeah. Oh wow, we were already recording. Hi.
Oh. Was there the episode? Yep, we sure did.
We sure did. Hi, this is Paragade Oops All Anime, where we talk about old anime and how we like it now in the year of our Lord 2019. I'm your host, Joe, and with me is Brad. Hi, Brad.
Hi, Joe. How's it going?
It's going good. I have a son now. As we've heard, my son, he is now playing with the ghost cat, I guess?
Aw, he has a friend.
He sure does, and he chirps.
Oh my god, was that him in the background?
Yeah, that was him chirping.
Oh my god. I'm gonna die.
What are you drinking today, Brad?
I'm drinking a diet root beer, Joe. What are you drinking? I'm so tired.
I am drinking a Goose Island, it's called SPF. It's a passion fruit ale.
Okay.
SPF. Yeah, it comes in a pink can, so it's my brand. So,
oh, cute.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's nice and light. It's basically just, tea, but alcoholic, which is my kind of shit. Yeah. So
Nice. I'm looking up a picture of it right now because I want to see. Oh, it's cute! Is it like rose gold almost?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Mm.
Very light peachy pink. Very cool. Goose Island.
I figured a nice light drink will be good for the episodes that we're going to be talking about. But before we get into that, what have you been up to outside of Death Note?
Not much. I just celebrated my birthday, which was super fun. I went hiking and stuff like that, and that was really cool. And then I started playing Hollow Knight, which I had downloaded, and it's really fun, but I'm getting lost, and the map does not help, so I put it down for a little bit. It's pretty cool. I like Hollow Knight. It's really engaging. Like, I just kind of was playing it for 3 hours, and then I was like, whoa, it's been 3 hours? Like, it's been a while since I've been, like, really enveloped in a game like that, so that was cool.
That's cool.
Tried out Gris, or Gris, or however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
I've been told that it's French, so apparently Gray and French is gris.
Yeah.
So it was really beautiful. I don't know if I talked about this. I don't feel like I did because I was talking about maybe playing it.
Yeah.
Really beautiful game. Amazing kind of take on the process of grief and loss. Like the 5 stages of just kind of overcoming that, like, anger, bargaining, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Very artistic game. There was nothing really like frustrating about it. It was just really peaceful and nice to play. So that was really cool. And I'm trying to think if I've done anything else. No, I think other than that, I just watched the first episode of Haunting on Hill House, and it's really cool and scary. So I'm excited to tackle the rest of that show. Oh, and I started Samurai Jack over again.
Oh my god.
Just as freaking golden as I remember, and every episode is an absolute delight. So
maybe we should add that to the list.
I love Samurai Jack. Like, holy crap, it's the best.
It's been a while since I've watched, like, the entirety of it outside of, like, the last season that was put out by Adult Swim.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And I still remember just watching the last season by Adult Swim, and it was just fucking hilarious. And I was like, oh, we're back.
He's back, Samurai Jack.
I love it.
What about you, Joe? What have you been up to?
Like I said, I now have a cat son. That has been taking up a lot of my time because I just cannot either A, pull myself away from this horrible little bugger, or just getting used to being a cat dad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is like my first cat that I have, and not like someone like my parents had or anything like that.
Right.
So it's an adjustment. The first day he spent the entirety of it underneath our bed and was really scared of us. And
Yeah.
and then after that he then realized that like, oh, we give pets, and
No.
he has been like kind of a cuddle bug ever since.
Aw, I'm so glad to hear he's adjusting. Well, I know you were sending me his little like meow. He was like really
Yeah.
scared. I'm like, oh no, it's like the worst thing. But like, I just heard him chirp in the background. I'm like, oh, he's used to his environment. He's looking around. He's having a good time.
He's having a good time, and we leave like the little windows open for him so he could just kind of go ahead and peek outside into the world.
Oh,
Because
good.
if we let him out on the porch, he's gonna probably get a hole in that screen,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I do not need this stress in my life.
Yeah, I actually I tried that out with Finn once, and I thought he would be really bad with like the screen because he just loves to destroy things. But he was pretty good with it. He didn't really like push his boundaries or anything, so you know,
Yeah.
say maybe give it a shot. But you know, then again, if it's like if he likes it a lot and then he likes destroying it, you're gonna have to be like, no, we're just gonna close this forever.
Just gonna close it. Bye. But outside of that, I started rewatching a little bit of Neon Genesis Evangelion, since that's now
It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
It's been
and
straightified on Netflix.
okay, so yes,
I've never even seen it. To be fair, I did not expect to wake up to that kind of discourse on my dashboard one day, but I woke up and they're like, they changed the subtitles!
I knew from day one, like, there was gonna be some sort of, like, the internet was gonna blow up in some way because of this thing dropping. And it did, and the reason why is because everybody's really, really upset that, like, they decided to make, Kaoru say, I like you, instead of, I love you. Spoilers for anybody who's not watching Evangelion, there's supposed to be gayness in here, but they decided not to make it gay? I don't know.
They're just pals. They're just really good pals.
So, speaking as like a gaby, like if I was like 14 and someone said that I was worthy of his grace and liked me, I would have died on the spot. Like that would have been it. I just would have been like a puddle of mush, just just completely destroyed. I get it because the original not even the original translation said I like you. Then they changed it to I love you. Now they changed it back to I like you.
And they're just like, stop hiding from the truth.
And
they're like, it's Neon Genesis. What do you expect? Like,
and they said it's supposed because like the actual Japanese is ambiguous. It could go either way. So they're like,
well, we know which way we're gonna go with it, and we're like, Netflix, please.
but ironically enough, while they went ahead and straightified like Shinji, the one thing that did straightify about Shinji is that he's being played by a non-binary actor.
Oh, that's cool.
Right?
What's her name?
Casey something.
Casey. You know what? Let me just look up Shinji voice actor. So it's like an entirely new voice acting cast. It's not like the original. Okay, I thought they just released it on.
No, they completely redubbed it.
Oh,
yeah.
Very cool. Okay.
So that's interesting.
Casey Mungio?
I think so, yeah.
Casey Mungio. I don't know. Oh, they're so cute!
Right?
Oh my gosh, they're really cute.
I know, it's like, they straightified Shinji in one way, but they did not straightify him in another.
Absolutely not. Oh my god, they're adorable. I love it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I rewatched the first 2 episodes. It's a lot better than I remember, in a lot of ways. In that, like, the way, like, the shots are done and the way, like, the dialogue, even, like, you know, the English dialogue is really, really good. Like, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to be kind of, you know, shitty, because... Yeah. It's really well done, and, like, the way, like, all the shots are kind of composed, it's, like, it shouldn't remind me of this, because this was kind of, like, the forefather of this, but it reminded me of a lot of SSS Gridman, with its same shots. And just, like, how I was so enamored by, like, these sort of, like, lingering shots of, like, harsh silhouettes across, like, you know, just very bright and vibrant backgrounds. And
cool.
Just like desaturated colors and cicadas fucking everywhere.
Are you at the top floor of an office building? Cicadas,
like just everywhere, and it's good. It's good. I'm gonna try to rewatch the rest of it. I can't make any promises because, God, is it a hard watch? Even just without the baggage, it's just a hard watch because it's all about depression, and it's really good at capturing that. And that's the downside. It's really good at capturing that.
Yeah, I've avoided it so far, and just because of like people that are like know me very well are just like, you probably don't want to watch this. Like, you could, and you could get a lot out of it, but like I can't guarantee that all of that you would get out of it would be good. And I was like, okay, well that's fair. So
that's fair. But the other thing I've just been up to, aside from the cat and Ava, Gundams, which so I recently did like a retake of this kit I did like a year ago because I had a dream where I was very, very dissatisfied with the kit already. So I was like, what if I just redo it? What if I just do it again? And
I'm going to make this dream a reality. I hate this kit. I'm redoing it.
I'm redoing it. And I don't hate it. It's a good kit, and I brought it back from the dead because I fucked up because I am an idiot who lives in Florida. And decided I'm gonna do a top coat like during like a fucking thunderstorm. Like, yeah, that's gonna work out fucking fantastic. And no, it didn't. I had to just give it an alcohol bath, strip the entire paint job, repaint it again, and yeah, that was my first take on it. My second take, I was smarter, and I decided like, okay, this is how I'm gonna do it, and it came out really good. It's on my Instagram. I'm super, super proud of it. My son helped me out on it by helping me like put on the water slide decals, and I mean by help, he came up on the desk, they got spooked, and then spilled my whiskey.
Oh no!
It didn't get on the kit though, so I take that as like a sign from whatever power is out there. Some Shinigami looking down upon me as like, not today, Joe. And I was like, yes, thank you. Oh God. What?
I'm sorry. It just like you were talking about Gundams, and I had to send you this.
Oh God, like that. You know what? I'm gonna put that in like the video, and I'm just gonna superpose my face on like older Keanu there, and
Joe, past Joe.
No, just like fucking on sad Keanu, I just put my face, and on like cyberpunk Keanu, I just put Diamond.
Yeah, he's like, would you get there?
Did you get there?
Just write Gundam over Lego.
Yep. So
I love it. Okay.
That's it. I haven't played any new video games because if I go ahead and try to pick up a new video game during now, I'm just never gonna play Daemon X Machina when it comes out in September, and that would be a tragedy for the mecha fan to not play a mecha game.
Yeah, it would.
It sure would.
Well, isn't Death Stranding coming out this year?
It is. It's coming out in November, so I have a good month before Death Stranding drops and Daemon X Machina drops, so I have time. But it's
like you're like me last October when Red Dead 2 was gonna come out, and I was like, I have to graduate in 2 months. I don't know how I'm gonna do this.
I don't know. I get really scared, and I'm just like, no, please, God, please. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's a bit of our house cleaning. Of course, after this, we're gonna be talking about Code Geass with me and my husband. We're probably gonna talk about Diamond again because he's such a joy.
Oh, he's so cute.
He's so cute. I'm probably not gonna shut up about him. I'm just gonna put
Good.
that warning out here. It's just. I've become that cat dad, and
new podcast solely for Diamond updates.
We actually made a Instagram for him.
What? What's his Instagram?
It's _Diamond Cat.
Oh my god! I'm gonna follow it right now. Is that where you've been sending me all these posts from?
Yeah.
God dang it! I'm just like, oh, Joe's just sending me his Instagram story.
No, it's so.
I would make a separate one for my cat, but that's literally all I have to do, like on my own Instagram. So I'm just like, nah.
Nah. God. All right, so I think that's it. Let's go ahead, discuss some Death Note. All right.
Let's get into it. Let's do it.
So, Bran, we finally reached the halfway point. I'm so tired. You go ahead and talk about the plot, and I'll just like chime in with my bitterness.
Joe is not gonna hop back in until we get back to
The last episode where I'm finally
light
happy.
the very last episode. Oh man. So episode 22, we resume with a I'm trying to even think like where we're starting out. My first note is there's not enough money in the world to get me to skip this intro, and then I'm like, okay, but what next, Bran? Like,
so Misa is having the phone, and she's showing the recording about Higuchi basically admitting like, I'm fucking Kira because I want to bone you.
Oh, that's right. I thought they already covered that in the last one. Okay, yeah. So yeah, from there she's telling them that Higuchi is Kira because she's literally got it on a recording, and they just all kind of look at each other and they're like, all right, well, let's go get him. And so, and then, then, of course, before they do that, Elle has this really, like, I don't remember how they really initiate this conversation, but essentially Elle is like, basically, I'm going to tell you my theory on, like, who is Kira.
Yeah.
And, or was it because Light was like, I could succeed you, or Elle was like, you could succeed me? Anyways,
yeah.
So essentially they do this really like dramatic scene where Elle is like going over all of the evidence that incriminates Light and how Higuchi, I guess, plays into that.
Yeah.
And you know, like dramatic in the only way that like a non-action anime can be, where it's just like shaking the camera and zooming in on both their faces for like 20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Elle's just like, that's my evidence, and Light is like, okay, like, I get it. Based on all of that, like, I'm probably Kira. And then Elle's just like, okay, thanks for admitting that. Let's go get Higuchi. And then they all just kind of like, are like, okay. So, and then after that, what did they say? Something about Namikawa, because they basically essentially launched this assault against Higuchi and set him up in an area and in a situation where he has to, you know, they try to trap him. So
right, and like, during this fucking part, God, this is bad. I remember Light just being like, you know, why do you keep asking about Kira? It's like, I'm not gonna let this go, motherfucker. And he's also looking at, like, Misa, like, she is definitely the second Kira. And she goes ahead and utters the same words of her boyfriend and be like, I'm not Kira!
She's like, oh, it's contagious now.
Oh, it's contagious! And basically what they decide is, like, the best way to go ahead and get Higuchi to kind of admit it is by basically, like, having the Sakura TV start saying, like, you know, oh, we found Kira, and who best to do that than Matsuda? And everybody's like, yeah, but he faked his death. And it's like, that's the point.
Yeah, because then he'll be, like, freaking out knowing that, oh my god, he didn't die, he got away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so from there, they do kind of get Higuchi on this wild goose chase throughout the city, because he's like, holy crap. And also the voice that they give, so like Matsuda's on Sakura TV, like behind a little like sheet, you know, and they're interviewing
to protect
him,
his
like,
face.
Yeah, because, you know, Kira. So they're like, you're so brave. Oh my gosh, thank you for coming on. And he's like, I want to do the right thing. And they give him this like really high pitched voice that I love. It's so Matsuda. But yeah, so Higuchi sees this on TV and starts flipping out, and he's calling everyone, and he's like, hey, we gotta stop this. And every other one of the board members is like, why are you freaking out? You know Kira's gonna take care of this guy. And he's just like, like,
And every other board member is also like, we are so done with this. I don't even want to watch Death Note anymore. Take me out of this anime.
get me out of this show. Yeah, they do have like a meeting. I think Namikawa and two or three of the other board members are basically come together and like, okay, so we're not Kira. Okay, cool. We're gonna work with the investigation and like basically claim innocence, and let's all throw Higuchi under the bus because like through deductive reasoning, it's fucking Higuchi. So
Of course, yeah.
yeah, so like I think they're talking with Light on the phone when that happens, and they're all just kind of like talking to each other, and Light, who is posing as L, about who they all know it is, and they're like, good, that's who we thought it was too.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they kind of just get that established. Higuchi like jumps into his car and it's just like, I'm gonna go down to Sakura TV and kill his ass. Like, only he's just so stupid. So he starts going, and then one of the Weddy?
Weddy.
Yeah, she starts following him on her bicycle, motorcycle, and this cop pulls him over because he's speeding like a freaking demon.
Yeah.
And also, they somehow have Higuchi's car, like, wired and tapped, like, instantly. I don't know when they did that, but I guess they did. And they're watching him, and he's like, he's freaking out, and he's like, Rim, what should I do? And they're like, what the heck? Who's he talking to? Is he on the phone? Does he have an earpiece? And they're like, no. And so they all start freaking out, realizing that, like, Rim, is in the back seat, and they don't know who it is, who he's talking to. It just sounds crazy.
Yeah.
So then he ends up getting down to, he doesn't go directly to Sakura headquarters. What he decides to do first is go to the agency, because he's trying to call Misa. He's trying to call Misa's new manager, Mochi.
Oh, that was my favorite part, is, like, he gives Mochi a call, and Mochi is like, hi, I'm Misa's manager! And I'm just like, I fucking love him. He's so good.
Yeah, and then he's like, what's the name of the guy that used to be? And he's like, well, that's confidential information, sir. You could call the manager of our district region. And he's like, yeah! He's just freaking out.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God. So they, like, and then he's like, where's Misa? I need to talk to Misa. And they're like, oh, she's at an undisclosed location on vacation, sir. So sorry. And he's just getting pissed. And every time he tries to call Misa, she's just like, click, and hangs up on him.
Oh, my other favorite thing is that he gives, like, a call to, like, the president of, like, this fucking modeling agency or whatever. Yeah. And he's just like, get off my fucking line, dude. Here's the security code or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this should have been your first tip, Higuchi. You're getting fucking trapped.
Yeah, honestly, like, what do you think they're just gonna give you a security code to walk into an office? Like,
yeah.
And so he does. He gets into this office. He finds this file, and he's like, oh, okay, it's him. So he, like, writes his name down, and they're watching him, like, on the security tapes, trying to, like, find out how he kills people.
Yeah.
All he does is just, like, write in a notebook and put it away. And
wait. No, that's episode 23.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, we're getting that mixed up now.
Oh, man. Well, what else happens in episode 22?
He just gets the Shinigami eyes, and then after that, he laughs forever, and that's where we go to episode 23.
That's right. Yeah, he does make the eye deal, because he's, like, desperate to kill this guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I had for episode 22. It was just basically Higuchi having a panic attack and breaking the law.
Oh my god.
By speeding.
It's just speeding. So yeah, then episode 23. After getting... You know what? I got this.
Yeah.
I got this. Because as much as I hate Light Yagami, I hate Higuchi a little bit more.
Yeah, he's terrible. Like, he's a terrible character.
I hate Kira from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like, I am just not... I'm not about, like, David Bowie murder mystery going into this Shonen Jump mystery. It's like, I'm not here for it. So he goes ahead, he writes the name, and then he waits, like, the 40 seconds, and he's like, oh yeah, he's gonna die. What? Why isn't he fucking... Oh, it's another fucking alias! God damn it! And and L, being the gremlin that he is like eating a banana peel.
Oh yeah, it's just
my dumb child. Oh god. He goes ahead and he's like, why is he freaking out? Like, he was perfectly calm. Now he's not doing that. I'm just saying, they're like, you know the method now. Like, you
Yeah.
can put 2 and 2 together. Here you
Yeah.
go.
But, like, logically, they're looking at, like, all he did was write the name down, and then he's just, like, in the car, and he's waiting, and they're like, what is he waiting for? And they're like, check back with Matsuda, is he alive? And they're like, yeah, he's alive. And so, he's like, dang it, he, like, hits his dashboard, and they're like, what was he expecting? And then they're all freaking out, trying to, like, just trying to work through, like, how this is happening. And I also love how, like, Higuchi, when he's like, what do you think, Rim? And Rim just gives him this look like, I'm not here to, like, be your friend.
I'm really not.
Like, you are on your own, sucker, but, like...
Oh, God. So, Higuchi,
Oh, man.
being as pathetic that he is just like, well, I guess I just gotta go to the TV station now and kill him in person.
Now that he's got the eyes, he's like, I'm gonna go right down to that station, stare him in the eyes, and write his name in the notebook, because this is smart. Like,
This is so smart. And after that, like, Elle is like, well, this might also confirm, like, the existence of Shinigamis, but I really don't want to think about that. And, like, why? And he's like, I'd rather not think about the fact that there are eldritch horrors in our universe here, Light. It's not particularly fun. It's not particularly fun.
he's like, why? Why is that scary? And then it just, like, does a flashback really quick to Elle falling out of his chair and screaming, and he's like, oh, yeah. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that is a scary thing.
Like, that sure is scary. So, but before they're like, okay, well, he's doing this, so it's time to go ahead and capture him. They're like, but before we go, they just tie Misa to a chair, and, like, she's like, why are you doing this? And Elle's like, the last time we left you alone, you went ahead and tried to get yourself murdered by a fucking serial killer.
Just leave her time. I'm like, y'all just like tying Misa up. Just say it. Like,
You're on timeout, Misa.
you should be paying her for this. Like,
Oh, God. So,
Yeah.
everybody's preparing at the TV studio. So you got Dad, Weddy, and, like, some of the other cops. And before that, though, like, Weddy tries to give her gun to Dad. And
Yeah.
Dad's just like, no, guns are illegal in the country of Japan. And I'm just sitting here like, you're a real good cop. You know that? You know that?
he's a good person, but, like, that's the thing. He's like, well, I'm not technically with the police force, and it's prohibited for citizens to carry firearms, so no. And Weddy's just looking at him like, what are you gonna do if Higuchi rushes you? And then he does. Like,
And then he does, because then gets cornered and he realizes, like, oh god, they replaced him with mannequins, because he just decides to walk into a completely empty fucking TV studio.
walks
and
right in, just not like, oh yeah, I'll just kill Matsuda right here and now. And then he, like, looks behind the little screens, and it's just dummies, and he's like, oh, how could this happen? Like,
how could this happen?
wait.
And after that, like, he's cornered, and he pulls out his gun, and he tries to shoot Weddy, and Dad's like, no, I'm a good cop!
Yes.
And jumps in front of it, takes a bullet to the shoulder,
Yep.
and we cut to Light and Elle in the helicopter now, and
Just being best friends. It's just like, this is it. We're gonna catch him.
Elle's like, you should probably take this gun for protection. He's like, no thanks, I don't like to use guns for murder. And I'm just sitting here like,
Civilized than that. And then Elle's just like, well, then what do you like to use? And he's like, well, like,
well, I like to use a pen mostly.
oh, they just look at each other. Yeah, and, like, after that, like, they all chase Higuchi out, and he gets in his car, and he's, like, speeding down the highway, but everyone's kind of in pursuit of him.
Yeah.
And then the coolest thing happens, where the police force is like, screw our politicians, like, we are getting involved with this, and they have an entire, like blockade on this place where he tries to escape from. And Aizawa is there, and he's just like, with a freaking shotgun, and I'm like, Aizawa's back! Aizawa's back! So cool. He's got his little aviators, and it's froze up, and he's just like, thumbs up at the helicopter, and they're like, I love you, Aizawa! And so they all kind of, like, pin Higuchi down on the freeway.
Then Watari just, like, takes a sniper rifle, shoots out, like, the fucking tires.
Oh, yeah! Yeah, he, like, shoots at the tires, and then, like, on top of that, the guy, Higuchi's like, you know, they, like, make him roll the window down, and he pulls a gun. Wait, is this in the next? Okay. I
No.
don't have very coherent notes from like either of these episodes because like my favorite scene is coming up, so there's a lot of caps lock that I'm trying to work through here. But at some point between either episode of 23 or 24, Higuchi is like surrounded by cops, and he puts a gun to his own head, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Stay back if you don't blah blah blah," and then Wataru's just like, "Pew!" and then shoots it out of his hand, and they're just like, "It's over, Higuchi."
Like, get the fuck out of here.
Please just stop trying to.
So
And then they actually ask him, don't they? Like flat out.
yeah, so
like,
in episode 24,
Yeah.
this is it.
This is it.
This is it.
Oh God.
Episode 24, revival.
Oh God.
So Higuchi is taken out of his car, and they're like, "You're fucking done, dude. You're done." And they blindfold him, and they're like, "So how do you do it? What, like, how do you fucking murder people?" And he's like, "With a notebook." And
Yeah.
fucking
They like put the headset on Higuchi, and L is on the other line in the helicopter, just like drinking tea. And I'm talking not like out of a thermos. He's got a cup and a plate, and he's stirring it, and he's like, "Higuchi, how do you kill people?" And he's quiet, and he's like, "If you don't tell me, I'm going to beat it out of you." And I'm just like,
Oh
we
my-
stand a legend.
We
And then
sta-
finally, Higuchi's like, "Okay, I got a notebook. If I write it down, a name, they die." And he's like, "Bullshit." And so
Oh my
they're like,
God.
"Retrieve the notebook," and Senior Yagumi's like, "Okay." And then she just like, he reaches in, he pulls it out, and he's like,
Oh.
It just looks like a regular notebook.
He wrote a
I
bunch
don't
of names in here.
understand." And then he's just like, "Why?" He freaks out. His Rim is standing right there like, "Hey." And he's just like, "What the fuck?"
What the fuck is this?
And I thought this part was so cute because like Sonichio falls over and he's like, "Oh!" and he freaks out. And then they're like, "Sir, calm down. It's okay." And then he's like, he's got his hand like in the shape of a gun,
Yeah.
like pulling the gun out of like, but he's like, "You're not armed, sir." And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's fine."
This is fine. This is not fine. There's a fucking monster here.
Yeah. And then Mogi's like, "Sir, you good? Here, I think you need to get some And then he like turns over and he's like, "Oh!" And he falls over too. The noises that like specifically Mogi's like scream and just seeing him from the helicopter perspective like falling over really quickly is so funny to me. Like Ellen Light are just like, "What's going on?" And everyone just starts freaking out around the helicopter.
Oh God! So they go ahead and take the notebook back to the helicopter, and as soon as L grabs it, he looks over and is like, "Ah, yeah, that would go ahead and make people just fucking freak their shit. That's a Shinigami.
Big old Shinigami right there.
Oh, that's great." And where'd the notebook go? And
Oh my God. Okay. All right. I just want to talk about the build-up. And the like because I've purchased the manga here, and I've looked at that scene, and it's still really well done. But like, so L gets the notebook, right? Oh, and also during this moment he comes to the conclusion as he's looking at Rim, and you can hear himself whispering in his own head, and he's like, "Light Yagami," and it's all this like rush of information. And then in that moment he concludes, and it's all zoomed in on his face, right? You can't see the notebook, and it's zoomed in on his face, and all you hear as he's like shakily looking at Rim and having this revelation, you hear Light Yagami in the background go, "Ryuzaki, let me see." And like, just like, everyone just please take a moment to appreciate the last of our like whiny little baby Light, because
the last of it? No,
the last
this
of
is
it,
only
yes.
the beginning.
He's not gonna be whining anymore. Like when he's like, "I'm
God.
not Kira," it's all to L.
Okay, yeah.
After this, he's just like, "Call me Kira one more time, you little brat." And they're just like, get it in the background. So like, L comes to the conclusion that there has to be more than one notebook.
Yeah.
Based on, I don't know. He's just come to this, and he makes this conclusion, which is very crucial to the investigation, but he never says it out loud. I'm pretty sure until later on. But anyways, so he comes to this conclusion, and it's like all of this build up, all of the sound, and it's like all this whispering, and then he comes to that conclusion, and then he looks down at his hands, and the notebook's not there, and he like slowly looks over, and there's like this airplane sound in the background.
Yep.
Where it's like an airplane taking off, because they're still in the city, right? But
Yeah.
the build-up that like that audio alone offers to that moment, because as soon as it cuts to Light's face, and he's not even like mid-scream, his mouth is just open, everything goes quiet.
Yeah.
Everything cuts out, everything goes quiet. He's holding the notebook, he's like, looks like he's having a seizure almost, like he's just strained up, and then he lets out the longest like scream. He freaking like Super Saiyans. He's just like,
yeah,
and loses it, and like all the memories come rushing back, like everything is coming back to him, and Elle's just like staring at him like,
are you okay?
You good? And he's just like, he's just shaking, and he's like, Light? And he's like,
I gotta go check the names in this notebook.
I'm gonna compare these things. And Elle's like, well, that was quick. Like,
no, my favorite thing is here, as I was watching that scene, the only thing I could hear is like to the tune of like Shady's back, was like, guess who's back? Back again.
Back again.
Light is back, tormenting Joe.
And like, he's like, okay, that sounds smart. And Elle's face just drops, and you can tell he's like, something just happened.
He's like, oh, I'm going to die.
Yeah, like, well, he's
oh, I'm dead.
Going to, like, and then, yeah, that's literally, and that's exactly what Light's thinking. He's like, whoosh, and the camera comes rushing around, and it zooms in on his red eyes and his cocky smirk, and he's just like, I've won. It's like, like crazy choir music.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
He then has a secret compartment in his fucking watch. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
I just have to pull this 4 times in under a second. Click. Of course I have this watch on. I knew it. And Joe's just fuming in the corner like, oh yeah, you just knew that? How did you just know you'd be wearing this? Oh my god.
How'd you know you were going to be having this watch in this particular moment at this exact same time? You fucking... God!
Oh, you hate it. And so he sits there and he's like, all right. And Elle's like, bring Higuchi in for investigation. And Light's just like, I have a needle out of nowhere. I'm going to prick my skin and with my own blood write Higuchi's name on this tiny little watch compartment that has a piece of the Death Note in it, because of course it does. And then he's just like slowly writing it out and like watching Elle as he does it, and Elle's just like, give me Higuchi. And then he's like, I did it. And then waiting.
Yeah,
just waiting.
And I had the note here, like, same, Light, where it's like, just, this is the longest 40 seconds of my...
You're like, these are the longest 40 episodes of my life. God. So then Higuchi, of course, dies.
Yeah.
And...
yeah.
Elle's just like, God dang it. And Light of back to reacting appropriately. He's like, what the heck? We can't lose him, Dad. And then, yeah, so basically... that happens, and then they all just kind of, Light gives his traditional monologue of like, that's right, Elle, you're next, and he just looks over at him with these red eyes, and I'm like, he's back, and he's worse than ever.
Alright. Bran?
Yeah.
I've had a question.
Okay.
He knew he was going to be wearing this watch. With the secret compartment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How long has this investigation been going on? 4 or 5 months?
Yes, it's been a while.
Not once did he open the fucking watch compartment.
Well, it's a secret watch compartment.
He would know!
I mean, like...
He would know.
That's a cool idea though for an alternate universe. Like, what if Light was just like, oh yeah, I have a secret compartment. What's this? Poke. And then but the key here is, Light does not own the Death Note in that moment that he's holding it until Higuchi is dead, and then he's the one that owns it. He has to kill the previous owner of the Death Note, or it has to be officially given to him for that ownership to pass, which is why he has to do it right there, because if he lets go of that notebook, his memories are gone. Like, he will not remember anything.
Should have smacked it out of his goddamn hands, Al.
That's
Should
right.
have
Yeah,
just smacked it out of his goddamn hands.
I was super like, give me that back. Like, oh my god. But like, it's so funny to think about that. Like, if what any other scenario this could have happened in, where Light would have been like, I just would love the rest of the show to be like Light remembering his Kira and be like, quick, quick, and he's like trying to fight, and then they just take it away, and he's like, I'm not Kira, like back and forth.
And L's like, you sure ain't, buddy.
Not while I'm around. He's freaking. It would just be the sitcom of the century. Just.
Oh god. All right.
Touch enforced amnesia.
So, yeah, he kills Higuchi. Higuchi's dead. Everybody just kind of comes back around.
There, they're just depressed. Like, well, I guess he's dead.
But
and then we get a flashback.
Yeah.
To the actual hot Death Note hot potato in the woods.
Oh.
Cause it's like, I think that was it was to make sure that he didn't lose his memories permanently, I guess.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why they do it. Like, I've watched it 3 times today.
Yeah.
I was like, I just can't understand why.
Buddy, this is the anime that's always written with author rules, where it's just like... It's
because
bullshit.
I said so.
And I just hear fuming, just like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
Shut up.
Oh,
Just
God.
catch the predators. Oh, man.
Anyway.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So
So, yeah. They all go back to headquarters.
then the flashback happens. They have the they fucking have the Death Note hot potato.
Yeah.
And, you know, Reb is like, you're gonna do this to save Misa. He's like, I will do this to make sure she is no longer incarcerated. And I'm like, he's technically not lying.
Yeah.
He's
like, well,
for once.
she'll be safe for a little while. Like, yeah.
Like, he
But,
wasn't saying, like, she was gonna be safe. He said, I will make sure she's no longer incarcerated.
Yeah, and Rim was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, Rim, get it in writing, you dumb bitch.
You dumb bitch. God. And
Oh, man.
then, he goes ahead and has, like, the investigation team read the Death Note, and they're like, oh, there are all these rules. And they read the rules that we all know about, except for 2.
Yep.
So,
There's such smart rules, though. Like,
yeah.
oh.
So what are the 2 rules here, Bran?
So the first one, the one that, if the Death Note is destroyed in any way, any humans that have come into contact with the notebook will die.
Yep.
And so they're all like, crap. And so then the second one, which I think is really smart, is that if the user of the Death Note does not consecutively write names for 13 days, they will die as well. So not only does this, like, is it implicating, like, so here's 2 things that this really makes the thing, this, solid. Not only does it, like, give Light immunity instantly, because they were both incarcerated for more than 50 days, or at least 50 days, I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
So Matsuda, it's the first thing out of his baby mouth is that he's like, oh my gosh, this means Light and Misa are innocent. I'm like, Matsuda, shut up. But even if the rule is discovered to be fake, like, this was my thinking. I'm like, well, like, they still, like, if it was fake, they've been killing criminals, doing the best that they could to not die with a rule that would have killed them. So it does give them, like, a plausible reason besides, I want to be God. Like, yeah. So, like, I thought it was really smart, because even if it does come down to it being fake and things kind of fall apart from there, like, it does kind of, I guess, we'll get to that later. In good old episode 25. Yeah, so I thought that was really smart, because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, look, even if, like, I mean, Light he's the perfect person to be like, look, I did the best with what I could, but, like, I just didn't want to die, and I thought the next best thing would be to kill criminals, blah, 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 I just didn't want to die, I'm so young, and so, like, I just thought that was really intelligent.
And here Elle is, like, doubt.
Yeah.
Just doubt. All the time. All the time!
Yep, he's just like, well, anyways, yeah, that's cute, Light, but you're a murderer. Yeah, what happens next? They all start talking about the rules, and I love how they like do a quick flashback to Rem and Ryuk, and he's like, write the rules down in the notebook with your handwriting, and Ryuk's like, I love how Ryuk is still concerned with getting in trouble.
He's like, this
back
ain't gonna
home.
make me in trouble, is it, Rem? And Rem's like, there's no rule against this. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. The irony of them being like, can we make up fake rules? And Rem's like, is there a rule against it? He's like, yeah, fair enough. They just like write them. Oh man, and then they kind of cut to Misa being able to
finally leave.
Yep, she's free to go, and then Light is like, well, I still want to help investigate, but can you take these handcuffs off? And Elle's just like, I hate you. Yes, I can, but I hate you, and I hate this. But then they go and talk, and I think they like hug, and Light's like, I need you to go out in the middle of the woods, and she's like, and he's like, and dig up my notebook, and she's like, okay.
No, I just imagine like, I need you to go in the middle of the woods. When nobody else can see you.
Yeah.
And then, dig up a death note. Oh,
okay. Well,
all right.
You're not gonna come with me. No, I'm not, Misa. I'm gonna go back inside, and I'm gonna be a detective with my good friend here. My good best friend is just crushing Elle's shoulder. And she's like, okay, be right back. So Misa goes into the woods and digs up a death note. And she's just like, oh my gosh, it's Light's note to me. And he's like, if you got all your memories back, that's great. Now I need you to do something. And she's like, She reads it, and he's like, remember my friend from college who doesn't even go to college, Hideki Ryuga? And she's like, And he's like, I need you to remember his real name and write it in the death note. And she's like, okay. And she like gets her pen, and she opens the death note, and she's like, I can't remember the name. And I die. I'm just like, I love you, Misa. So yeah, that happens, and then Ryuk shows up, and he's like, I'm back from the Shinigami realm. And she's like, hey Ryuk, I missed you. And she gives him a giant hug, and he's just like, I'm shy, please don't hug me. And she like phases through him, and he's like, long time no see. And she's like, oh, here, Light told me to give this to you. And he's like, and he just eats his apple like instantly. And then he's like, here, try this apple from the Shinigami realm, which just looks like a rotten bell pepper. And she's like, cool. And so she eats it, and as she's about to eat it, she's like, can we make the ideal again? And Ryuk's like, honey, like, that's gonna have it again.
Well, she's already got the years from, like, the Shinigami who, like, sacrificed himself for her. So,
right. That's why I always had a hard time believing, because up until this point, I totally forgot she makes the ideal again. Also, why does she have to make the ideal again?
It's probably because, like, since she lost the memories, it kind of, like, does a factory reset on her. So
yeah, but, like, her life was still halved again, and they make a point to say that. Like, she doesn't get those lives back.
We're also talking about the anime that goes ahead and makes it so that Light has a fucking secret watch compartment that he never once interacted with during the 5 months that he was investigating himself. So
he's gotta pull it. Maybe he like always thinks it's 3 times. I gotta pull this in 4 times under 3 seconds. And he's like, I thought it was 3. Why not this thing open?
Like I'm not gonna give this anime that much credit anymore, because it's just like, buddy.
So technical, and when we're like, well, technically, and the author's just like, because I said so, and we're like, God damn it!
Because he only wants to be technical when he wants to, and that's the thing where I'm just like, get the anyway.
Like, you gotta give it to them for a very technical anime. Like, things can only get so technical to the point where like it's exhausting to both the author and the audience to try and like.
Oh yeah, because we're just not going to explain the fucking TV and the chip bag. We're just never going to explain that. Oh god. But no, we're going to definitely explain like his fucking like weird mousetrap scenario where he goes in and plays Death Note Hot Potato, and then he has a secret fucking compartment in his fucking watch. And he's like, this is where I'm going to write the Higuchi's name. And get the fuck out of here, okay?
I cannot wait for the end of this show when you find out how they actually trick Light Yagami into like revealing. Oh god, you're gonna be like, can I even enjoy this? Like, that is so convoluted. Like,
Like
it's great.
it feels unearned. It feels cheap.
Right, yeah, that's how I feel about it, at least, because, like, it's just so,
Oh.
like, oh, yeah? Well, I knew that you'd say that, and that's why I did this! And you're like, God dang it.
I did this before I was even born, Light Yagami. I had a prophetic vision, the fetus, and I just knew.
I was trumping you since
I was
a
the fucking
freaking
fetus all along. I was with Norman Reedus before this even happened. I hate.
Oh man, it's so bad. It's so good. Anyways, she makes the ideal twice.
Yeah.
And she's like, there goes all of the years I have gained, and also probably some of my, like, actual human years. And I made the ideal. So she, like, shows back up, and she's like, boop, and she touches Light with the right notebook, and he's like, yeah, I got all my memories. And so, like, all my real memories. And then Ryuk's standing there, and he's like, it's been a while, Ryuk. And then he's just like, and then laughing. I'm like, look at my boys, they're back. And, yeah, the episode just ends with Light hugging Misa, and she's like, I made the ideal again. He's like, you did what? I'm so concerned about you because I need you to kill L. And she's just like, I made the ideal again so I can be useful to you. And he's like, all I want to do is enjoy a long life with you in a perfect world where only kind people live. And she's just like, yeah. And I'm like, except y'all, you freaking murderers.
I hate it.
And that's the end of my favorite episode on Death Note.
So,
It's my favorite scene. It's my favorite scene in that, but yeah.
So, Bran,
I kind of wish we'd watched episode 25. It just like gotten there.
It's okay. We're gonna get there next week, and then after that, we're gonna go ahead because Elle's dying next episode. Like
he is. That's it. That's what I'm like. Oh, it's just such a good build up, and that's like where we're gonna have to start.
But then we're gonna pick up with Nier and Mello,
aka Joe and I.
Yes.
Literally. Like, I love them both so much, and I'm like, Mello is just kind of like, I'm gonna do my own thing, I want to catch Kira, but only to prove that I'm better than you, Nier, and Nier's just like, same, but also, I hate Light for killing L.
Also, I just want to catch Light because he's just a fucking idiot.
Same, but I'm also, like, more emotionally invested in taking down this guy that I spoke to for 2 seconds on the phone and pretended to be L, so, like, I'm really mad about that.
I'm really mad.
So funny.
Alright. So, I hate to say this. God, is it so much better to have my shitty antagonist back.
Yeah.
Than having to deal anymore with I'm not Kira and this infuriating sense that, like, somebody who's supposed to be as smart as Light, because Light is supposed to be a fucking genius, apparently.
Yeah.
And he can't even put 2 and 2 together that, like, oh god, I'm a monster. And it's like, uh-huh, yeah, you are. Like, the thing that just bothers me so much is that this anime wants to try to convince me that Light has 2 separate personalities when he really, really, really doesn't.
Okay, and there's some, like, I don't think that Light has to. I think it's absolutely a delight to, like, process Light's character from that perspective. Not saying that, like, you believe that it's true, but, like, just referencing to both of them as, like, Light and Kira, like, that helps me personally just kind of, like, break down the changes that he goes through. But, like, if you think about, I personally can see where people get this idea that, like, he does have 2 separate personalities, and one of them is just completely gone. Like, I truly believe that, like, once he kills L, like he's just Kira. Like, he barely remembers his own name. He even starts talking to, like, when his monologues, like, he'll stop calling himself Light Yagami. Like, he just calls himself Kira. Like, he just completely loses. He doesn't care about his family. He doesn't care about anything except with this obsession with the notebook. And, like, they do say that where they're like, you know, only harm and misfortune have come to people that use the Death Note. Like, it literally, like, it's just too much for human the human psyche to handle. Like, that much control cannot be given to a human psyche without it just completely imploding on himself. Not to say that, like, again, we'll go back to the whole, like, Light didn't have the ability and the absolute makeup for a sociopathic killer if he'd gotten the chance, which he did, and he became that kind of person. But I think they do, like, the writers do want you to some degree agree that, like, Light started with good intentions, as dark as they were, that got completely out of control because he got so wrapped up in all of this stuff, and he is an evil person when it comes down to, like, wanting to control things, killing people that, like, could be innocent. Those are all evil qualities. And this isn't to say that, like, Light has always been a good person or anything, but, like, objectively, like, that's where we get to start off in Light's life. He looks like a good person, and he is, essentially, from the information we're given, a good person and a bored person, but a good person. But, like, the Death Note hits, and it's like we get to watch him just destroy himself. Like, he's the one that does it. He continues to use the notebook, but I don't know. Like, I can see what people think about the whole point back here with the two personalities. Like, it's understandable from the perspective that, like, personally, me, like, with that theory, I do enjoy, like, just kind of looking at it. I don't think it's kind of, like, fair, honestly, because, like, the Light does so much evil that it's just unfair to kind of say, like, it's just unfair to shift the blame to anybody else, even if that's, like, an alternate personality in Light. Like, I think it's a shame and it's a disgrace to L to be like, Light can't help it, he has two like, no, stop it. No. But it's super fun to think about how, like, losing your memories like that and objectively watching and investigating and being really, really, like, just involved with the process of, like, what you've done and seeing what you've done. I agree personally that broke Light and snapped him in a lot of ways. Like, he was forced to, as himself, objectively look at what he has done as an alternate, like, outside bad guy, and I think it really messed him up. Like, I think it completely, like, just took away any shred that he had of, like, because he had to address it. He had to, like, and he doesn't lose the memories he had from that perspective. Like, he has to carry that. I just think it drove him nuts. Because he's, like, I mean, he was a bad person before, but he becomes, like, insane. Like, he just loses it at the end of the show. And
yeah. So
that's my take on it, anyways.
And a lot of it, I feel like, for me, it's like I'm always kind of looking at is, like, you know, what is the author doing for this, for me, basically.
Yeah.
And I always kind of look at it as that, like, it's trying to keep up, like, that momentum of, like, you know, the sort of the mystery or, like, you know, just the cat and mouse game.
Mm-hmm.
It just that it doesn't land for me in the same way, because I've also seen, like, you know, connecting this to a property that isn't Gundam. I think about this in terms of, like, Knights of the Old Republic from Star Wars, where you play as Darth Revan. Like, you play as, at the time, the biggest threat to the galaxy thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, you have lost your memories, you have become technically a different person. Yeah, that's a lot of it is player driven, and you can either be, like, a really, really shitty person or a really good person, but obviously the good person is the canon ending. The canon person still aligns with who Revan was. Revan always wanted to protect the universe. It's just that Revan went about it in that, like, he's like, I want to be compassionate, and I want to destroy those who do go ahead and perpetuate war. But that's just it. I have to destroy those who perpetuate war. And even as a good person, he still does that.
Yeah.
Like, he still goes out of his way to go ahead and, like, you know, kill Mandalorians who are just obsessed with war. He's like, there's no other choice.
Right.
And, like, his sort of, like, you know, penultimate, like, before he disappears, like, the Star Wars canon before it blew up, he basically says, like, you know, I've done a lot of terrible things, and I've had to come to pass with that. But this is where I've landed. It's like, I've seen both the light and the dark side, and I, you know, this is where I've gained clarity.
Hmm.
Whereas like with Light, I feel like I feel like his character I would have landed a little bit better with if like after he gained his memories, he hesitated. If even for a moment.
Okay, well, to be fair, like he doesn't hesitate in that moment. Like I think he is like right back to square one because like right back to who he was. I think he's just in the moment he's high off the thrill of like being like I can't believe this convoluted ass plan actually worked. But like there I think there is a moment we get before Elle dies where like you know what I'm talking about. Um
Yeah, yeah.
like where they have to kind of like look each other dead in the eyes and like acknowledge a lot. And I think in that moment, like that's like the last shred of really Light's conscious. Like I truly believe that like Light did have good morals, but again I think that like with him probably being a sociopath, like morals are more just something that he likes as structure and not really something that like he believes them wholeheartedly, but I feel like that wholeheartedness comes from like daddy dearest and like wanting to come and be like his dad and just kind of like, dude, this is what like I'm supposed to do. Like I'm just a normal person. I'm just following the rules. Like I think a lot of Light's personality and goodness that we're kind of presented with at the beginning of the show and then like holds true later on when he loses his memories, like it holds true, but it doesn't change the fact that like with that power he can be corrupted and chooses to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
That is what makes Light
Light.
ultimately
Yeah.
Light. Yeah, like that's his, this is his path. That's what he chose. He chose to do an evil thing, and ultimately with good intentions, yes, but like terrible things have been done with good intentions. That's just a fact. Like he kills so many people. Like it. That's just it. Like I mean, regardless of where we start with him, and regardless of how he ends up, like what they're trying, I guess, to say with the show is not really objectively like, would he have been a good person if he didn't get a hold of this? Like, I think they're just trying to say that like the best of us on the outside can be corrupted. Like a good person
Yeah.
can be bad inside if they're given the power. That's a big message I think with Death Note, is that like if people can do things anonymously, they're gonna do it. Like if they think it's right, if it lines up with their morals or
Yeah.
whatever, like they will take advantage of it. But like then you've got Elle, who I definitely don't believe would have done that kind of thing with it. He would have locked it up as soon as he found it or destroyed it. Like they probably would have had to test it obviously once, but like, it's a lot about character morality, and I think it just goes to say that like Light is like empty morality. He's very all about appearances, whereas Elle obviously does not care about appearances at all.
Yeah.
He's very, very just intrinsically
Good.
good. And Light, you know, isn't intrinsically good. And I don't say that he's intrinsically bad. I just think that like he chose a bad thing and ultimately became evil. Like, and I think he's morally weak because of that.
Well, I'm just like I intrinsically believe that he's bad. Like you bring up a lot of good points, and I don't want to squash that either. Like
Right, right.
the way you're looking at it, it is nuanced, and it is like like anything. It's like a lot of people will do a shitty thing if they're given the right tools to do so.
Right.
But
And that's not to say that like that's not
yeah,
to say that, oh, I'm putting you in an impossible situation, you have to choose one of this. Like Light he walked away from the Death Note and he came right back. He tested it and then it worked, and then he kept doing it like with the specific goal in mind to like make a better world. I genuinely think he took his father's philosophy and like that whole like I'm going to be a cop when I grow up, I'm going to be a detective, and then just was like, or I could be a god. like leaps
yeah,
and bounds were made that like speak volumes to Light's character, not just as like an individual, or not just as not just like as what he was to people, like his outward personality. You know, like people would have said he's good grades, he's a good person, like that's the generic perfect boy that we see. But the fact that like intrinsically he would take the chance if he had it, and he did. Yeah. I don't know if I would qualify that as, I guess like I do qualify it as bad, but I don't think Light has been like plotting murder his whole life.
Yeah.
You know, like not that. I don't think he's like, because he goes out and he kills people like that. You know what I mean? He goes out and kills people that are like potential rapists and like,
yeah,
you know, just stuff like that. You know, it's bad people, but in the same breath, he's willing to kill. He just doesn't want to get his hands actually dirty.
God, as opposed to one of my favorite protagonists, Lelouch. You know, I love Lelouch Lamperouge. I really do. He is so good. He is so much better than Light in every single way.
I can't with that name.
No. Do you want to know his other name?
What?
Lelouch v. Britannia.
No, I like Lelouch Barbarouche better.
Alright, well, I think that's it for, like, our Death Note conversation. It's also because I really gotta pee.
Yeah, no, and like, not only that, we managed to keep this under 2 hours for once, which feels great.
It's nice, yeah. So, Bran, where can we find you on the internet?
Hit me up on Instagram. I'm Branwitches, and you can check out my pictures of my cat, who is really fat now because my parents don't let me use the automatic feeder and just keep the bowl full all day. So you can check out my cat's fat belly on Instagram anytime.
You know, so now we're going to go ahead and move on over to Code Geass, an anime that is trying its best not to make me horribly frustrated.
It's testing his patience.
Alright, so we'll see you there. Yeah. Hi, we're talking about Code Geass for the second time. Because Audacity is made out of toothpicks and gum, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm really upset.
Anyway, Joe,
let's talk about episode 5.
We're drinking some rum old fashions.
Rum old fashions. Okay, we're gonna go ahead.
To make the pain go away.
To make the pain go away, because if I think about it for longer, I'm gonna go ahead and start crying.
Alright.
So let's go ahead and talk about episode 5. So episode 5 goes ahead and opens up with the sort of mid-2000s, like, you know, Vogue thing about being like, oh, we're gonna go ahead and talk about Middle Eastern conflict and shit. And as we witness the Britannian army basically invading, like, you know, some nondescript Middle Eastern country, as we get introduced to the power lesbian Nazi known as Cornelia.
Yep.
And she just starts making, like, really shitty comments about, like, how, you know, their weaponry is inferior, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's almost like the Britannian army is, like, the leading producer of just, like, every military arm known to man. And we should go ahead and expect even non-developed countries and shit that we constantly go ahead and hamper through any other means necessary to try to beat us on our terms. And it's like, get bent, Nazi.
Yep.
As the rest of also the Britannian army is just perfectly okay with, like, enacting genocide, it's like, alright, fine. And before we go ahead and cut to the opening, Cordelia is just like, you know, yes, I love the smell of genocide in the morning. And then she's like, but my brother was murdered. Murdered must be avenged.
Zero will pay.
And boy, howdy. So then after the opening cuts, we go ahead and go to Lelouch as he's coming on home, and he comes to Natalie, who's hanging out with that lovely green-haired girl.
And he's just like, the fuck?
The fuck? And she's like, oh yeah, I just let myself in. And Natalie's like, I just let her in. And he's like, okay.
She seems really nice. I like her. Hey, I don't have any sense of stranger danger at all.
And he's like, hey, how about we just go talk for a minute? And she's like, I ain't going nowhere. I live here now. And he's like, just drops a teacup, says, welcome to Chili's. And he's like, we need to go. And he takes C2 into his room, as he's then like, what the fuck are you doing here? And she's like, oh, don't you know, I'm just here to go ahead and, like, hang out with you since it gave you that cool power and all. He's like, the Geass. And she's like, yeah, that! And he's like, well, I mean, maybe this works out better for me because you can go ahead and tell me more about this power. It goes ahead and actually speeds up my schedule which is real nice. And she's like, schedule? And he's like, yeah, I'm a revolutionary leader, so you should tell me more about these powers. And she's like, well, tough titties.
Tough titties. It turns out everyone's different and fuck off.
And he's like, what? By the way, I'm going to sleep now. And he's like, what? And she just goes ahead and just wraps herself up in the sheets, and she's like, bye. And he's like, I guess? Okay.
Yeah, she's just very much like, I live here now, get used to it, I do what I want. And Lelouch is like, okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Very Ryuka vibes.
Yeah, C2 has strong Ryuk energy.
Yep.
Just very strong Ryuk energy.
Just like, I'm gonna be along for the ride now. Deal with it.
Yep. And we cut to the next day as more and more reports come out that more and more Japanese people are getting radicalized and they start rebelling against the Britannian army, because who'd have thought a revolution would start out like that? Wow, it's almost like that would fucking happen if somebody would take the first initial step. And everybody's talking also about Orange Julius.
Yep.
Orange Julius.
Orange Julius.
Actually, I think that's his name, Julius.
No, it's not, because Julius refers to Julius Kingsley, you're thinking of.
Oh.
But, you know...
Jeremiah! That's
Jeremiah.
Yes!
His name is just as memorable as nobody gives a shit.
Jeremiah. So Jeremiah is kind of become the laughingstock and been, like, demoted because, you know, after the whole Orange situation from the last episode, and everybody's like, you betrayed us! And he's like, I don't remember shit! And everybody's just really, really upset with him. And then we cut to a weird scene where C2's just ordering pizza, and you and I both know that this is part of the Pizza Hut brand deal, but now that we're at the re-release, Pizza Hut is no longer a part of this, so it just makes that scene way weirder.
Yeah, and there's like a whole reason why it's also Pizza Hut 2 in the original, when they did have the sponsorship, but like at this point in time the reference no longer makes any sense.
It doesn't really make...
So here we are. She's ordering pizza and you're like, okay, that's weird.
Okay.
I mean, same energy, but also weird.
But weird. So after that, we go ahead and cut to Suzaku as he's coming out of like the town hall, city hall, something. As he's been acquitted because they're like, we have no evidence against you, and also we had a terrorist admit on live TV that he murdered Clovis, so
this is kind of a moot point now.
But also, you have the records from the Gundam to corroborate that he was nowhere near Clovis?
Yeah, but that doesn't fucking matter.
I am so mad about this. As he's coming out of the city hall, like, a woman just falls out the sky, and he's like, I guess I gotta save this woman now. And he catches her, and she's like, bad men are chasing me. You wanna go ahead and walk with me for like a while?
Yeah, I'm being chased by bad guys.
And you're just like, what?
What? Okay. And Suzaku starts walking with her, and he's like, oh, what's your name? And she's like,
my name's Yuffie, like the Final Fantasy character. Yeah, we'll go with that.
And Suzaku's like, oh, I guess I should introduce myself. She's like, ha ha ha, you're acting like you're not actually a fucking war criminal broadcasting on TV. I know who you are, Suzaku, you fucking cop.
You fucking cop.
And Suzaku's like, oh, okay. And
This is fine.
As they go ahead and gallivant around town, and, you know, it's like, we got a good montage to having fun, blah, blah, blah. And then they encounter a little purple cat. A little adorable purple cat. He's got like a wounded eye.
That says, fuck police, and bites him.
Yep. He said, fuck the police. And I'm just like, saying cat. The big cat energy here.
Big cat energy.
Big cat energy as he just continues to bite him and hisses at him. And I'm like, same, Kato.
I'm just like, love this boy.
I love this boy. And I made it also another note here. Suzaku has no right looking like a Trigun protagonist in this fucking thing.
You are right.
He has no right.
No right.
No right. You need to look like Amuro Ray at all points in time. You cannot look cool.
Absolutely.
And before like the day is done, like Yuffie's like,
I want to go to one more
place. And Suzaku's like, you got it, buddy.
I'll do anything for you because I want to bone you.
Because I think you're cute. And she's like,
take me to Shibuya so I can witness the crimes of my fucking people.
and he's like, anything but that.
I would do anything for love,
But I won't
do that.
No, won't do that.
Alright.
Alright, so they go ahead and get to Shibuya as they're looking at like kind of the graves of the dead, and there's a monument nearby as some high school kids, they're basically like neo-Nazi like analogs,
Or being a-holes.
or just being assholes. They're like, oh yeah, take a picture of this desecrated like statue.
Hell yeah.
As some of the revolutionary kids from before come by like, hey, that's fucking disrespectful, don't do that. And they're like, get fucked Area 11s. And
they're like, fuck you, we're Japanese.
And they're like, we don't fucking care. And Suzaku comes in, he's like, wait, both sides have a point, don't fight. And
everyone's like, go fuck yourself.
go fuck yourself. As like the Japanese are like getting beat up by Suzaku, because of course Suzaku beats up the Japanese people. And
yeah, because he's a cop.
And they're like, wait, you're Suzaku. You were literally like, the son of like the prime minister beforehand. You fucking betrayed us. You turned your back on us. And he's like, no, I didn't. And like,
what are you talking about?
And he's like, you became a cop for the fucking bad guys. And he's like, I'm doing the right thing. As they're like, fuck it, we're out of here. Go. And he's like, hey, are you kids okay? And they're like, what the fuck, you Japanese asshole? Like, I can't believe you did this and you broke like our fucking, camera and shit. And Yuffie's like, fucking goes ahead and slaps him and is like, you need to respect him. He just saved your lives. Now get the fuck out of here.
Saves your lives in heavy quotations.
And then after that, we go ahead and learn that apparently this area is like a combat zone, as Jeremiah is being cornered by some of his subordinates as they're like, you are a liability and we cannot have you here. And
also, what is orange?
And I'm like, valid. And Jeremiah's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, which also valid. As they try to go ahead and murder him. When Suzaku comes in with the Lancelot, and he's like, no fighting!
Everyone stop fighting! It's wrong and bad!
We're on the same sides, we're all cops here, blue lives matter!
I almost did a spit take. Go on.
And the fucking subordinate who was about to murder Jeremiah is like, well...
here's a frag grenade.
Well, no, it's more like, not all lives. And
oh my God.
He goes ahead, tosses a fucking, chaos mine, which is, the, hell frag grenade.
Yeah, it's basically a frag grenade.
And Yuffie comes out, she's like, no fighting!
Yeah, this dumbass hoe is like, I'm gonna run out in the middle of a whole bunch of giant robots fighting, and I'm gonna put myself out in the middle of my very fleshy, very vulnerable body.
And as the Chaos Mine explodes, the Lancelot protects her, and after that she's like,
you need to fucking stop it! I'm the princess!
Yeah, and everyone else is like, oh my God, it's the princess.
And Suzaku's like, what's a princess?
Yep, and then it smash cuts to, the professor and his assistant, and the assistant's like, did you know that was the Princess of Britannia? And the professor's like, of course I did. But, she's been in school since now, so she hasn't really had her coronation yet, or whatever. And you're just like, okay, so you tried to make an excuse as to why Suzaku's an idiot, but,
you just exemplified why Suzaku's an idiot, because even the grunts knew who Cornelia was, or not Cornelia, Yuffie was.
Yeah, and the professor knows.
Yeah.
Obviously she's a princess. She's got pink hair. What are you talking about?
And, yeah, so then the mechs bow, which also, I love it, because it just reminds me of, the push-up mechs from Gunbuster.
Yep.
It's great. I love it. I love when mechs do human things.
I hate it.
It's the greatest. And we then cut to Cornelia coming into Japan, and she's like, Yuffie, that was fucking stupid. Why would you run into the middle of a bunch of mechs?
She's like, sorry, sister, I love you.
She's like, I love you too. Now watch as I go ahead and terrorize this old man who has absolutely nothing to do with this, as I'm really upset that nobody has catch this terrorist, Zero. And Yuffie doesn't say anything because she just...
Once again, Euphemia, for as being as quote-unquote woke as she is, actually has no real agency and does not actually... She only cares about it on a surface level, but actually doesn't care about brutality towards people. Like, she could have said something to her sister, but she won't, kind of thing. It's very much, very much that surface level woke but white privileged.
Yeah,
I don't like using the word woke because, like, I feel like a lot of times when white people especially use the word woke, like, they're not actually woke.
They're not actually woke. And
they just want to use that to feel good about themselves.
It becomes basically like an ironic term at that point.
Kind of.
Because it's like, you say like, I'm the woke gamer or something like that.
Yeah, and it's like, literally by saying the word woke, like, you have become unwoke.
So, Euphemia is a really interesting character for me, because she really does exemplify, like, that sort of, like, sort of, like, Hillary Clinton-esque politics.
Yeah, or just very much, like, she's born within the system, and she, on the surface level, realizes that there's issues with the system, but she's still got that privilege, and so she doesn't actually really understand anything below surface level understanding, Like, she doesn't really have a deeper understanding of the situation at hand.
She doesn't, and neither does Suzaku by a large degree.
Oh, yeah, even though he was not born in the system.
Like, fucking, Euphemia is interesting in that she wants to confront, like, a lot of these war atrocities, but when it happens in front of her, and especially when she's realizing, like, the infighting for her own, like, countrymen, she doesn't really, like, engage with that. She's just like, stop fighting, time out, and she doesn't want to go ahead and acknowledge that, like, maybe this is inherently super broken.
Yeah, and, like, doesn't acknowledge the fact that, like, her sister, who she loves dearly, is kind of a terrible human being. Like, even though she sees it in front of her face, she does nothing about it, really.
Yeah.
She does nothing about it when she sees, like, the neo-Nazis pick on the Japanese and the Japanese fight back. Like, like, she doesn't really acknowledge that until after Suzaku interferes, Like, she kind of waits for other people to interfere first.
Yeah.
She's never really actually she's not really one to pull the trigger first.
No.
Until she does later on in the series.
Oh, she sure does, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, she sure does.
We will get to that. Before the episode does end, though, we see Suzaku is introduced to his new high school, which coincidentally is the same high school as Lelouch.
Yep. And everyone's like, oh, criminal.
As we then go to episode 6. So, episode 6 opens up with Lord Britannia in, like, some sort of, like, Sky Haven type place. As, one of his subordinates coming in, like, oh, what are you doing? And he's like, I was talking to Clovis. And we're just like, okay. And then opening, and we're like...
Yeah, and that scene is never explained. That scene tries to do something, and in the process, it does absolutely nothing, because the concepts that it tries to present will not be addressed for another season and a half.
So, after that, we go ahead and cut back to the high school as, like, everybody's like, Suzaku's a fucking criminal. Oh my god, it's a brown person.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and everybody's just, like, super racist about it.
Scary ethnic person.
What
do?
Oh, no! And after that, Lelouch is walking out of the classroom as he tugs on his collar, and Suzaku's like, it's the gay signal as they go ahead and go onto the roof and they talk about like their lives, and we find out more that like Lelouch Lamperouge is not his real name. I mean, we learned this in episode 1, but it's confirmed here where it's like, yeah, you are royalty, you are Lelouch v. Britannia, and he's like, you know what, like, how have you been doing? Like, what are you doing? And what happened to that green hair girl? And Lelouch is like, don't worry about that. And then we go ahead and cut to Cornelia committing some more, genocide and ethnic cleansing as she routs out like a Japanese revolutionaries, and they, can't really put up much of a fight because they don't have nightmares. And she's like, these fucking, savages, they don't even have advanced weaponry to deal with us. And it's like, yeah, I wonder why. I cannot fathom why.
Cannot.
Like, she's being so condescending and gross about it. And I can't tell if this anime wants me to actually care about her, or if I'm really, really supposed to hate her, because it's really not doing a good job of making me like her in any capacity.
Nope.
But after that, we cut to Lelouch coming back home, and he's, greeting Natalie, and he's like, I got a surprise for you, and Natalie's like, oh boy, what is it? Suzaku is, motioned in, and he, holds Natalie's hands, and she's like,
I recognize that hand anywhere. That's the hand of a cop. Hi, Suzaku.
Yeah, which, to point out, they haven't, come in contact with each other in years.
Yeah.
Since they were really kids, more or less.
Yeah.
And so, she just feels this hand of an adult and is like, I remember my childhood friend. And it's like, no, you don't, bitch. Anyway. Yeah, so she's like, oh my god, it's Suzaku. Are you still a cop?
And he's like, yeah, I still am. She's like,
why would you do that?
They tried to frame you for murder. That's fucked up.
Why would you do this?
Why would you do that?
And Suzaku's like, don't worry, they have our best interests at heart, and all this like,
I don't think so.
I don't really think so, but okay.
Alright, I guess.
And after that, Lelouch is like, alright, I gotta go take a call from May. Y'all kids have fun, as he walks into the kitchen, and C2's like, why is a cop here? And Lelouch's like, don't worry about it. He's a cop, but he's a really dumb cop. You can literally walk in front of him and he won't notice you.
Yeah, he's got the memory of a goldfish. He doesn't remember your face or your hair.
It's like, I'm actually not sure if he might be colorblind. He might be colorblind, actually.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. And CJ's like, okay, I guess. And after that, Lelouch walks Suzaku outside as Suzaku's like, we should probably not see each other at school anymore. And Lelouch is like, what the fuck you talking about? Which, okay, I like this scene because it's very much hinting at it's hinting at Suzaku's really fatalistic tendencies.
Yep.
As he's bearing a cross that he has no responsibility over.
Yeah, he's trying to crucify himself before you've even put up the cross. And that's the thing, is that he also tries to crucify himself over the wrong things. Not about being a cop, not about supporting, this police brutality, not about, working within a corrupt system, but about the fact that, he was framed for a murder.
Yeah.
What?
He's not mad about that. He's not guilty over that. He's like, no, the system told me I was guilty, therefore I am guilty. And Lelouch is like, that's fucking stupid.
Why would you do that?
Why are you being a fucking moron? And Suzaku's like, well, I pilot the Gundam. Of course I gotta be a moron.
Yeah.
It's like, have you not learned in every Gundam property? Anybody who pilots a Gundam is a little bit fucking stupid. Except for Judo from Gundam Double Zeta, because he was the savior of space.
Yep.
But, so, they kiss each other goodnight, and then they leave. And the next day is
filler time.
Yes, it's filler time. As we see, their sort of school day go about, But we see like the neo-Nazi kids go ahead and deface like Suzaku's like locker because they're scared of the brown kid.
Yeah,
but
and Lelouch sees like Suzaku trying to like clean up some of the defaced clothes, and he goes, "Gasp! Racism in my school."
I combat that.
Yeah.
And that I don't think he's like racism at my school. It's more like you're fucking with the Gundam pilot.
You're fucking with the guy who could legally kill you.
You're fucking with the dude who is literally piloting the devil's machine.
I don't think they care.
It's like, why would you do that? And I think it's because they know, like, he's not gonna do shit because he's a fucking cop.
He's too stupid.
Like, we're white. We're fine.
Yeah.
So,
you can do anything to a cop as long as you have pale skin.
As long as you have pale skin, you're fine. And after that, we cut to Lelouch as he's like, ironing his like cosplay and everything, and he's putting away everything. And C2's like, "Why'd you gotta hide that?" And he's like, "There's only one of its kind here, and it's supposed to be like a symbol for the rebellion. So
maybe I designed this costume so it would be very recognizable, and maybe that means I should hide it."
That just a little bit. As she's then like, "I'm fine. I got like a pizza order coming in," and she goes ahead and grabs pizza. And as she does,
little kitty cat from the last episode walks right the fuck in.
Little Kato's like, "It's my house now, and
I live here now.
As he goes ahead and goes into Lelouch's room, and he knocks over like the costume thing, and he gets himself a neat little helmet, specifically Zero's helmet, which conveniently fits on his head.
Just shrinks right down to size.
Shrinks right down to size.
Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answers to.
And then we see Lelouch hanging out with Nonali, and he notices the cat go by. He's like, "Ah!"
Freaks the fuck out. Oh god! And he runs after it, and Nonali's like, "That's weird. I should let Millie know."
As the class president is alerted that, like, oh my god, Lelouch might be hiding something. I could blackmail the shit out of him.
I'm gonna blackmail the shit out of him. And so calls on the entire school to chase after this cat and catch whatever it is that it has, which is a helmet, in exchange for a kiss.
In exchange for a kiss from anybody from, like, the student council, as most of the student council is like, "What the fuck do you mean? Don't do that. That's really gross. Stop."
I do not consent to this. Millie, this could technically be classified as sexual assault.
Like, please stop. As Cat Hunt 2K19 starts.
And it's basically just a filler at this point.
It's basically just a filler, as we see Suzaku is also trying to catch the cat, because I guess
he just wants to help.
He just wants to help his boyfriend.
He just wants to be included.
He really just wants to be included, as they go ahead and go up, like, the spire or whatever, and that's where the cat winds up. He's, like, at the top of the spire, and Lelouch is like, "Oh, fuck," as Suzaku kind of beats him to it. And this is where I suspect, like, Lelouch fakes, like, trying to fall off, like, the tower to distract Suzaku. And Suzaku's like, "Oh, fuck, my boyfriend's falling down," and goes ahead and grabs his hand as Lelouch looks up, and the cat knocks the helmet off, and Lelouch is like, "Oh, thank fucking God."
And, like, we'll just assume that it naturally, like, just falls off into a bush or something that's, like, easily hidden, and then he recovers it later.
Yep. And, Suzaku's like, you look pretty fucking, like, relaxed for somebody who was about to die. He was like, "Oh, I was tired. And also, I'm fatalistic. I really want to die, too."
It's fine. I'm suicidal.
You should get help for that, buddy. Anyway, so Suzaku goes ahead and brings the cat down. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, the brown kid got the cat. Oh my god." And he's like, and Lelouch is like, "That's my boyfriend. Please stop being mean to him. Be nice. It's his first time streaming. Be nice, please."
This is his first time streaming. Don't bully him.
No teasing.
No teasing.
No teasing. So, he's like, "Madam President, he should be part of the student council."
And Millie's like,
I don't see why the fuck not.
I guess.
mean, we just invite everyone we just feel like getting to be in a student council. Like, look at Karen over here. I mean, Colin. I don't even know what she does. She just likes to be sick over in the corner and talk about rebellion.
And Lelouch's like, can do. And Suzaku's like, and then Nanali's like, oh, you get a kiss from somebody from the student council. And she's really cute. And she just gives a little peck on the cheek. And she's
little
like,
peck on the cheek to both of them, and is like,
There. Everything's all better. And scene.
As we then go ahead and go to the memorial service for Clovis, as it's hosted by our great fucking wonderful character, really not at all supposed to hate him, Lord Britannia, as he's like,
what are you talking about?
all people are not created equal.
Some people are born sick. Some people are born not white, and therefore they should be killed. Am I quoting part of Animal Farm from George Orwell? Yes. Yes, I am. Not all are created equal. Some are more equal than others. Like, he literally advocates for the death of anyone who isn't born rich, straight, cis, white, able-bodied.
And I'm sitting here just like, how can anybody think that the Britannian army has any redeeming qualities that they have a man like this in charge?
Well, I would say that there isn't a point of realism in that.
Well, I get that.
Connection to our current day society. But, anyway, here we are. It's fine. Basically, it's just, like, it's this excuse to add characterization to this character that we already knew we didn't need. It's just silly at this point. And this kind of encapsulates my feelings about this episode in general.
It really does, as we then kind of close out, and Suzaku is looking pensive. And I'm just like, Suzaku, you're supporting that. You realize this, right?
Yeah, but he's working within the system to change it.
I hate
You
it.
can change the king of Britannia, right?
Sure. As Lelouch is there, I'm gonna kill that motherfucker.
I'm gonna kill that motherfucker. Yeah, so they're kind of I feel like this episode is my least favorite episode of this season because it tries to be a filler episode.
Yeah.
But it's also it also tries to be a characterization episode. Like, let's establish more in-depth characterization of everyone involved in this season in particular.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't accomplish that. Because it's like, yeah, we know the King of Britannia is an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know Suzaku's an idiot. Yeah, we know Lelouch cares about Suzaku. And,
like, it really doesn't do much to really push the plot along, like, too much.
Absolutely not.
It really doesn't. It's here, it's the meandering episode, and, I feel like at each point in the season you kind of gotta have that at some point.
I don't think so. Because I feel like, again, this episode was really trying to establish characterization.
Yeah.
But, like, trying to be a funny, lighthearted one.
Yeah.
And it's just such a cognitive dissonance, this entire episode. Because we talk about, the brutality of Britannia and, the inherent racism that these citizens have. But also, we're doing a cat hunt.
We're also doing a cat hunt, which, that's a really cute cat, though.
This is a cute cat.
But yeah, it's really not one of my favorite episodes either. It really isn't, and
I will say, though, this is a better episode than any episode in Season 2, which definitely does not exist in my mind.
That's a damning statement.
Yeah.
That's a damning statement.
Will you make me rewatch Season 2 eventually? Or we're gonna get to that point?
We're gonna have to. We already got the schedule here, buddy. I could go ahead and pull up the spreadsheet after this.
Joe, you're gonna make me rewatch Season 2. Yeah, I'll willingly rewatch Episode 6 of Season 1. I'll rewatch this stupid filler episode again 10 times over instead of having to watch Season 2.
You wanna know So here's where I'll go ahead and say we have like a little bit of spoilers.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna go ahead and talk about Keto the Exiled again because what a good fucking rendition of Code Geass.
Mm-hmm.
So spoilers, but this is what I really liked about the antagonist of Keto the Exiled is that it's like Lord V Britannia is still like just a fucking monster, but he wants to stay alive to see himself be a monster. Whereas like the antagonist of like the Keto the Exiled is such a nihilist. He just wants to die.
He just wants to watch the world burn and burn alongside with it.
Like, there's something that I like about, I guess, antagonists like that. Because it's a little less...
cartoonish, in a way?
Kind of...
Yeah, and this thing is that I also just... the king is just such a cartoony villain that... the things that come down the line later on about his character just it make him like too overpowered stupid kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to describe, but it's just like he's literally just a comically oversized evil villain.
So he's Donald Trump.
Yeah, basically. But, and that's the thing, is that they and so, also spoilers for season 2, like, you establish this super evil villain character, and, like, he's kind of all of season 1 establishes him as the end-all, be-all to penultimate, or ultimate evil, but it turns out in season 2, like, oh, nope, he's the penultimate, there's worse than this, and you're like,
who could it be?
Yeah, it's just stupid.
The enemy was me all along.
It was me.
I
was the the real king.
So yeah, I feel like Akira the Exile has like spoiled me in like such a very fundamental way now.
Yeah,
it's kind of like now I just keep comparing like season 1 to Akira the Exile, which is unfair. Like it's really unfair.
Yeah, it is. Because Akira the Exile is, I mean, they were given a movie-sized budget.
They were given a movie-sized budget. They were told you could actually make a mech anime,
and we can spend our time working on each individual episode because there was a year between each of them.
Like, there's a year between this, so we can actually make each episode succinct, except for episode 3, where the only good parts were Suzaku and Lelouch, and that was the most compelling, like, Suzaku has ever been. Mm-hmm. Like, ever. And I'm just like, this is great. I love that they made him so irredeemable. And just such a fucking asshole.
Yep, because in season 1, they're still trying to make him a redeemable character.
They're still trying to make him Amuro Ray, without realizing that Amuro Ray's character arc goes over into, like, at the end of Mobile Suit Gundam, that he hates the Federation.
Yep.
That he realizes the Federation was wrong, but then they completely redo that with Gundam Zeta anyway, so, I mean, I guess they're just, like, going ahead and speeding up the fucking process, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, so basically, I think... I just think that the episode 6 in particular just sums up everything wrong with season 1 in general.
Yeah, but it's still enjoyable.
It is. I will admit that the reason why I say that I would rather watch this episode again than rewatch any episode of season 2 is probably because there is something enjoyable about it. It's not painful to watch.
It's not, and... overall, like, I'm excited for the rest of the series. I'm really excited. It's even for season 2, because I feel like season 2 is going to be such a train wreck that it's going to make things like Akira the Exiled and, like, season 1 look that much better.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
also, there are so many better episodes to come in this season.
Also, should we watch, Lelouch at the Resurrection after this? We probably should. I feel like now that it's out, we should.
Once we get to the end of season 2.
Yeah.
It'll be a treat.
It'll be a treat to see that fan service just, like, come out, and we're just like, Lelouch is alive again, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Code Geass for this week. Now let's go ahead and talk about the shit that's been making us happy.
There is one specific shit that is making us both happy.
All right, so this is gonna be my one thing, and that's gonna be your one thing too. And I have a second thing after this.
Oh, okay, fine. So we adopted a cat.
Diamond, my sweet baby boy. I don't know where he is.
Let me see. Is he hiding? Yes, he's hiding. Let me see if I can make him make vocalizations into the mic.
Don't torture the child.
I want to torture my child. He is not happy with me torturing him already.
Yeah, I would say let him be.
Come here, Diamond. Come here. Hello, my baby boy. Do you want to make him meows?
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't.
Nope.
Alright. Hello, buddy.
So, we adopted a cat. He is my beautiful baby boy. He is our beautiful baby boy. His name is Diamond. His full name is Diamond Cat Douglas Carter Vasquez.
Yes. DC Douglas Carter Vasquez. We named him Diamond because he has one eye, like Diamond Dog, but except he is a cat, so he is Diamond Cat.
He is also, like, a gray tabby, so, like, he actually has, like, the same, like, markings and colorization as, like, Diamond Dog.
He's really adorable, and he's just, like, adapted really well, and I'm just, like, so happy to have this little boy to come home to.
His favorite things are cuddles and naps and blankets. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about him, I don't know what does.
I don't know. And I recently re-listened to the beginning of Cat Search 2K19 with Bran, as they described, like, the cat I would find, I would just lock eyes with it, and you just kind of, like, we both communicate to each other. Are we tired? Yes. Do we both want to take a nap? Absolutely.
Yep.
And he just wants to cuddle every once in a while and just, like, sleep all day. And I'm like, big mood. You make it really, really hard to go ahead and leave for work.
Yep. Basically, if you go to take a nap, he will join you and he will cuddle with you. Mwah. He's such a good boy. He's so sweet. We took him to the vet today and found out he had ear mites, probably from his foster home. So we're working on that. He was very not happy with me this morning, but he is very easy to forgive. Like, he very easily forgives me, even though he is right now trying to nom on my knee. That's okay. I love him anyway. I think he's just, like, finding his small ways to get revenge.
Small ways. But, yeah. So that is the first thing that has been making me happy. You want to know what's the other thing? Yeah. Let's talk about Rapture modeling for a minute here.
Oh, yes.
So, I've been getting a little bit more into this modeling brand called Machine Krieger. I think that's how you say it, or Machine Krieger. It's this group who makes a bunch of, like, sort of mecha models, but they were former, like, Star Wars special effects artists.
Yep.
So they just got bored with it and, like, let's make our own models, and they do. And I have, like, a couple of the Gotcha-nen kits that they had from back when we went to Japan, and they're really cool. But there's also a big community for people who make, like, mods and stuff and make, like add-ons. So one of the add-ons they do one of the add-on companies is Rapture Modeling, who does, like, cat pilots, little resin kits of, like, little cats in spacesuits.
They're so cute. There's some of them that are sleeping and other ones that are, like, pointing and being like, that's my mech. That's the one that I pilot.
Yeah. So it's really cute. I've gotten a few from WKB Models. Actually, let me look at them because I want to shout them out because they were so fucking nice. Because it turns out it's really, really hard to get a hold of them. And I think a lot of people realize that because there is, like, a big ol', like,
black market
on, like, bootleg ones.
Basically recasts, which anyone who's ever wondering if you're like, oh, I found, like, a really cheap, like, something or other, like, of, like, Kingdom Death or whatever on eBay, a lot of those come from China, where people have taken the resin kit and remodeled it. and or like not remodeled, but like recast it. And
Yeah.
so it's very much like even worse than Factory Seconds. Like a lot of details are going to be muddled and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you really shouldn't be supporting that kind of industry. Like buy indie model, buy indie garage kits. Don't buy recasts.
Yeah. So, I found them. I found the reseller. I was right. WKB Model. So at WKB Model on Twitter. If you tweet at them, they'll go ahead and contact you, and they'll be like, okay, like here's how you can place an order. So it's really cool and really, really interesting. And then, of course, the actual creator, you can find them on Twitter at Nakadogas. So that's NAKADOGAS. So Nakadogas. They have a lot of pictures of these cat models. It's really cute. I really, really like them, and I cannot wait to get a hold of them. Again, shout outs to WKB Models, because you guys were way fucking nice when I added the wrong address, and you were like fucking A+. So yeah, that about wraps it. I see Diamond here is playing.
He wants attention, and we have not been giving him attention for a full 45 minutes, and that is an atrocity. And I'm really glad I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt right now.
So, Em, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Myalacology at Instagram and Twitter sometimes, and other places. MAELACOLOGY. It's hard to concentrate when a cat is constantly just ripping at your arm for attention. You can also find me now as well at _DiamondCat on Instagram, because
of course our cat has an Instagram.
Our cat has an Instagram because I love him, even though he wants to play, and I'm not giving it to him right now because I am talking.
And of course you can find me at Just Joe Star, Just Joe Stars. On most social media platforms, on Instagram, on Twitter, Twitch. I stream every once in a while. I try to go ahead and make a habit of doing it once a week, but I also am bad at that. So yeah, that about does it. And as always, eat the rich, feed the poor. All right, good night.
Bye.